Hey, Friday Devos, I got a pretty amazing story here that I think you're going to like, especially if you have been praying for something for a long time, or maybe you're not even praying for it, you've just been suffering for a long time and you feel really alone and kind of looked over. It's a very familiar story. It just shocked me this morning as I was thinking about it. It's the story of Jesus healing a man who is paralyzed for 38 years. And what happened, and there they would lay, there's these arches near the pool of Bethesda, or Bethsaida, sorry. And they would lay there hoping, apparently they believed, or they probably witnessed, once in a while an angel from the Lord would come and stir the waters, and then the first person that was in the water after the power of the Lord had been there would get healed. Now, I don't know if there's any proof of that, but if you think about it, the man had been there, lying there for paralyzed for 38 years, and you keep coming back, you keep coming back. I think after a few years, I'd quit coming if no one got healed. So I'm assuming that's how God would heal some people in that time. I don't have any proof of it, but anyway. So he'd been ill and there for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying on his back, knowing that he'd been like that for a long time, Jesus said to him, "Do you want to get well again? Do you want to be healed?" And the man didn't actually answer his question directly. He said, "I have no one, I just haven't got anybody to put me into the pool when the water's all stirred up. Whenever I try to get there, someone else gets into it first." And so he was still hoping, like after a few years, sometimes you pray and you just kind of give up, but there's still that 5% hope. I encourage you to keep that. So this man, somehow he just stayed there. He didn't give up. He was just that 5% hope against hope. And that's where some of you probably are. But he just stayed there. And then Jesus says, "Get up, take up your mat and walk." And the man got up, picked up his mat and walked away. He was healed instantly. And I was reflecting on that, and I thought, man, and then it says later, he didn't know who Jesus was, because it was the Sabbath day, and all the religious people said, "Hey, you can't be doing that on the Sabbath day. You can't be walking around with your mat on the Sabbath day, because that's apparently work." So he said, "Hey, the guy that told me to get up and walk told me to carry my mat, so I did." And the Bible says he didn't know who Jesus was then. And so I'm thinking, well, he didn't even have faith because he didn't know who Jesus was. And then I was praying about this and reflecting on it longer, and he did have faith. He had the problem. Jesus asked him, "Do you want to get well again?" And yeah, he did. It kind of sparked hope. And then Jesus gave him a different, like his answer to getting well was getting into the pool first. Jesus had a different answer for him. And he must have believed. He must have looked into Jesus' eyes and thought there's something different about him. And so he believed in Jesus as best he understood him at that point. And it changed the trajectory of his life. So I don't know what God's saying about your situation, but I believe that he will explain to you what he wants you to do, why it's happening, or how you have to cooperate with him. It's also interesting, at the very end of the story, Jesus said to him when they did reunite, and Jesus told him who he was, he said, "Now stop sinning, or something worse will happen to you." In this case, the man's ailment actually was because of sin, and sometimes physical ailments, relational ailments, consequences in life are actually because of sin. Sometimes they're not at all. In John chapter 9, the disciples were walking with Jesus, and the disciple looked at Jesus and said, they saw a man born blind from birth, and the disciple said, "Which man sinned? Who sinned, this man or his parents, that he should be born blind?" And Jesus says, in this case, neither of them sinned. This actually happened that the glory of God might be revealed in their life. So physical sickness or consequences in life aren't always because of our sin, but sometimes they are. And it would have been important for this man to now follow Jesus and follow a different trajectory. But it would have been helpful for him to know what the sins are. So as I was reflecting on that, I actually looked at some of the challenges in my own life and just asked the Lord again humbly, and Lord, is there any sin in my life in any of these areas? Is anything a result of sin, or is sin even part of it? Not to beat myself up, but just I want to deal with it if it is. So anyway, hold on to your faith. Ask God and listen to what he says, and whatever he says, do. All right, see you next week.